Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mind Over Mike podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. If it's your first time checking out the show, I'm assuming that's because you're here for today's awesome guest, none other than Mr. Dangerous Dan Matthews. Dan is the owner and operator of NetPro Studios LLC, which is a wrestling training school in Kingsport, Tennessee. He is a wonderful human being, and we spend the first part of this episode recapping my recent Don't Tell Tri-Cities comedy show that we had the pleasure of doing inside the ring at Dan's wrestling school. It was an insane show, a great night, and it was cool to catch up and get to talk about that. We then moved on to talk about Dan, a little more on his origins, as watching Hulk Hogan on TV as a kid led him to a now 17-plus year career in the industry of pro wrestling. We also talked about the 4-year history of NetPro Studios and the different types of events that they have going on there. Lots of fun shows, including one coming up on April the 18th in Church Hill, Tennessee. So make sure to check them out, support them online, and enjoy this episode. I really enjoyed getting a chance to sit down with someone who has so much knowledge about the cultural impacts of pro wrestling, the evolution of the industry over his time there, and a little word of wisdom to the next generation as he continues to facilitate new talent and grow the sport that he loves. So I appreciate Dan's time. I appreciate you for listening. Please enjoy the show, share it, support Dan, support NetPro. Enjoy this episode, most of all, with today's guest, Dangerous Dan Matthews. I do want to say, so the episode that just came out was filmed 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. The one right before that was with John Pruitt, who is one of our comedians on the wrestling show. Yeah. And he came in the morning after we did it. So pretty much that entire episode was about your business. So this is almost like part 2 of the NetPro episode. Fantastic. We spent most of that episode. That's awesome. Free promotion for how awesome you all were. He had a blast, and he actually lives right up the hill from there. And then I know that Hunter had an incredible time. If I'm not mistaken, I think Hunter's been back a bunch of times since then. Yeah, I keep seeing pictures of him in the ring, and I'm like, how do you keep getting in there?
Yeah, he came in because they put PWF into the Hall of Fame, or their Hall of Heroes at Innovate, and he actually was one of the guys that came in and accepted.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, so I've known Hunter for years now, 4 years give or take, and we've obviously grown a lot closer over the years and doing different shows together and seeing each other on the road and stuff. But he's a wonderful guy, and since I've known him, he's always had that little piece of his history of, I was a wrestler, and he's very proud, and he'll show you the video and stuff. So then when I told him, like, hey, I think we might be doing a show at the wrestling thing, he was like, I'll open it, I'll host it, I'll headline it. He's like, I'll sweep up after. Whatever you want me to do.
That's hilarious.
He was, man, you would not believe, as soon as word got out, and I kept it pretty hush-hush, but as soon as word got out about that show.
And I was like, just kind of like, wow, are we really going to draw with this? Which I'm sure you had that thought too.
Yes, I did.
So
yes, I did.
And so that's the thing, is and that's the thing, like wrestling is so like cross, it's cross promotional on just about anything.
Yeah.
It's and I think with all of the advertisements that you see in WWE right now, I mean, like, that right there tells you,
right?
Like, you can advertise anything on wrestling.
Oh yeah,
anything from a Slim Jim to Wingstop.
Yeah, right.
It's like literally anything.
Yeah.
And I think somebody was doing car insurance and cell phones and oh my God, everything.
Just whatever.
It's whatever,
Yeah.
So it's and I've always kind of taken that stance where if WWE's doing it, why can't we?
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
well, as long as there's a market and an interest for it, especially. And I think which I do kind of want to just get into wrestling in itself as well at some point. But so just a little backstory on me. I kind of grew up in a household with both grandparents and an uncle. And my uncle was a big WWE guy, but my mom hated it. Hated it. Because this is very early 2000s, you know, in that era where it's like not exactly great for a 5-year-old to be tuning in every, you know, Saturday Night Raw or whatever, Monday Night Raw. And I just remember her coming home and just being so angry and being like, why are you letting him watch this? You know, the women, the divas matches and all these things. And so I think from that experience, I really never latched onto it. You know, it always felt sort of taboo or something. But then, ironically enough, starting comedy, a lot of comedians are pro wrestling fans. A lot of them.
Yes.
Because it's performative and it's very physical.
You'd be surprised at how many wrestlers have tried a hand at comedy.
Yeah.
You know, Al Snow, Mick Foley, Ricky Morton.
Yeah.
Has all done comedy.
I think
shows.
Mick still tours. Mick Foley still tours, I believe, as a stand-up.
So it's you know, it's like we were just on, you know, wrestling is cross-promotional on all things.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like we're all entertainers. We all know how to we all know how to play the keys and get people hyped up and get people happy or get people sad or whatever. So it's all in the same you know, swath of the brush. You
Absolutely.
know, that is entertainment. So
yeah, and it's creation, and it's, you know, I think there's certainly, and again, I'm pretty ignorant on the topic of pro wrestling itself, but I think there's some stigma, you know, long lasting as far as like, oh, it's scripted or it's fake or all these terms that they throw around.
I love when people do that.
I'm curious, what's your take on that?
Because it's like, oh, it's fake. Now I'm going to go home and watch TV.
Right. Right.
Well, everything you're watching on TV, I hate to tell you, I hate to break it to you, is fake.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the news.
Right.
Okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I hate to tell.
That might be the biggest entertainment of all.
I hate to burst everyone's bubble, you know, but there's a lot of stuff in this world that's fake. Okay, there's a lot of different things that are fake in this world. Okay, very little stuff is real.
Yeah,
and you know, if it's in front of you and you see it and you feel it and everything, it's real. So, but you know, wrestling. That's why I think like so many wrestlers get, you know, insulted by that fake word. Yeah,
fake. Right.
I say predetermined.
Sure.
I prefer
is
predetermined.
Scripted a little closer, but oftentimes it's off script, right? And it's improv, and it's
the best in. This comes from me being in the business 17 years, analyzing it over and over again. Currently owning a wrestling school, and you know, for the last 4 years, and training wrestlers for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
So scripted, yes.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you right now, the best stuff that has ever happened in the wrestling business has happened on the fly.
Sure.
The absolute best stuff that has ever happened in the wrestling business has happened on the fly.
Yeah. I would almost say that's exactly like stand-up. And that, more often than not, I know what I'm saying up there. But there's a lot of situations where I can't possibly know.
You know,
and you have to adapt.
We're given a subject. We're given a direction to go.
Yeah.
Where we go is up to us.
Right.
So,
but the ending is always slated.
So yeah, that famous Austin 316 promo. He didn't tell anybody he was going to say that.
Yeah.
He didn't tell anybody he was going to say that.
Yeah.
And that right there sold more merch in the 20 years before it.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably rivaled. I'd love to see numbers against Austin 316 shirts and Hulkamania shirts.
I would like to see it too.
I'd love to see numbers against the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that was on the fly.
Yeah.
That was a moment that was on the fly.
I know many male stand-up comedians who have photos of them on stage in an Austin 316 shirt. I mean, I can think of two right off the bat that I see pretty often wearing that exact shirt. I mean, to kind of examine, I guess, outside of the entertainment value, just the impact on culture that wrestling has had. I think when I initially told some non-comedian folk, you know, friends and family and stuff, like, hey, I think we're doing a Don't Tell at this wrestling facility. You know, they were like, you're doing what now? I mean, it made no sense to anybody but me, and a lot of times not even me. I just felt compelled to do it. But I do think that through that whole process, there were definitely people who were like local wrestling, you know, like they don't quite understand. So I think for you, is that almost another level of like stigma or put down that you have to overcome as a business to go, not only are we pro wrestling, we're local pro wrestling.
And that's, I go back to, if WWE's doing it, why can't we?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I haven't said no completely to a show in 4 years of running NetPro. I haven't said no completely to running a show.
Yeah.
I've always been like on the fence about running stuff and running certain things and doing business with certain people and stuff like that.
Like a comedy show. That would be.
I'm sure you've got.
That's a tough sell.
You've got to watch yourself when you put yourself out there in the comedy business.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
But the wrestling business is I don't want to say it's 10 times worse, but
sure,
there's very few things that are worse than the local indies, honestly.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing is I work with the promoters that try to put good shows on.
Yes.
And if I see them actually putting effort into who they put in the ring, what they're doing, their presentation, all that stuff, that piques my interest. If you're trying, yes, I want to help you.
Yeah.
But if you are putting anybody and everybody in a ring and you don't care if they're trained or not, you don't care how they look, you don't care how the ring looks, you don't care how the show looks in general, you do things, and this is one of my pet peeves, is like you do commentary over the PA system
during the match.
It's like, oh well, and that's one of my pet peeves. That's one of the worst things in my head that you could possibly do, because it's like, oh well, we want to make them think like they're watching TV. That's the reasoning I hear behind it. I'm like, have you ever been to WWE?
Right.
They don't have JR and Jerry Lawler piped in over the PA system overhead.
In the stadium of 50,000 people.
They don't do that.
That would be crazy.
Why would you do that on an indie level?
Right.
At all. It
also
doesn't make any sense.
The live event isn't television, which is the value of it in the first place, right? Like, you're not trying to recreate TV.
Exactly.
You're doing something live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I've been to plenty of WWE shows, and I see what they do. They try to their best to keep people entertained between those commercial breaks and stuff like that.
Sure.
Sometimes they have a match going on, and the match slows down during that commercial break, and when they come back, they speed back up again and everything.
Yeah.
So, but there's dead time. There's a lot of dead time a lot of times where they're just running through commercials, where they're shooting T-shirts out into the audience, and they're interviewing people live in the audience and stuff like that. It used to be the Miz's job when he first started. So he'd go out into the audience and interview people during commercial breaks and during live breaks too.
Yeah.
And he'd get the crowd up. So
right.
You got to keep the crowd up. So, they've learned from it, I think.
Sure.
Other companies, not so much, because I've been to television tapings at other companies. They don't give two craps about the live crowd.
Right.
And that's the reason why sometimes they're selling out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're half empty. Sometimes they're 3/4 of the way empty.
Sure.
They don't care about the live crowd. They don't care about keeping people there to make it actually look
They're
like
just
a good
creating television.
Exactly.
Right.
They're more worried about, hey, we're on TV.
Yeah.
So
I think, I'm sure throughout this episode, just like honestly with all of my guests, there's going to be a lot of crossover into the world of stand-up from what you're saying. And there's so much that's similar, but it's very much the same there in that, like, I think of like a special taping, a comedian spends sometimes years creating this hour, 50 minutes-ish of material, and then it's time to tape the special. If all they played to was that camera and not the crowd of 100 people or 5,000 in front of them, it'd be the worst special of all time.
Just running through jokes. Right. You're not even waiting for the crowd to respond to you.
You see it quite often, actually, where I think I watch, and I rarely can even watch them anymore, but occasionally I'll sit down to watch one and go, oh, they made a special. They didn't entertain that audience. It's a different thing, and that's why I love live comedy so much. And I think on this show it comes up quite often with guests that have never even seen live comedy and things, where I'm like, you just can't understand. And I think wrestling is the same. It's like when you're in the building, it's such another level of appreciation.
And you want like a wide range of entertainment. Like when we had the show at NetPro, I laughed my ass off at every single comedian you had out there.
And I tried to really mix it up.
That was a very well put together show.
Thank you.
It was from top to bottom. I laughed at every single comedian.
Thank you.
There was not a topic that they brought up that I didn't laugh at.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Family Guy humor, so that's
great.
me.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
So
it's on 24 hours a day in this house.
Well, hey. But I did. I thought from top to bottom that was like probably one of the best comedy shows I've ever been to.
Yeah.
So I was like, you can imagine what I was thinking at the end of the night. I was like, holy shit, we got to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were all thinking it too, man. I mean, it truly did work out in such a, obviously I think I'm pretty bad, as kind of a goal-oriented person and stuff. I'm pretty bad about placing like a lot of expectations on exactly how it's supposed to go, and it never meets that, you know, whether it's just down to the flow of things or specific things, but it almost is better in a way, you know, like it worked out exactly as it was supposed to. Hey, sorry for the interruption. Just wanted to plug a few upcoming dates for you. On the 17th of April, I'm going to be down in Raleigh, North Carolina, doing a show at a place called Vault Craft Beer. On the following night, the 18th, I'm back in Kingsport, Tennessee for a very exciting Don't Tell Tri-Cities, featuring a brand new event venue, a brand new headliner all the way from New York City. You're not going to want to miss that one. On the 24th of April, I'm back in Raleigh to host the Triangle Roast Battle. The 28th of April, I am in Raleigh again at the House of Hops Showcase. Very excited for that with former guest of the show and my good buddy, Mr. Kerry James. On the 2nd of May, you can catch me in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, doing a Next Stop comedy show at Foothills Brewery. On the 6th of May, I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, doing the Gruff Goat Showcase. I'm running about 20 minutes on that show, so very excited to get a little more time there. And on the 16th of May, we've got our next Don't Tell Tri-Cities in Johnson City, Tennessee, at a venue we've not been back in about a year, with the first-time headliner coming all the way from Atlanta. She's bringing some funny features that we've never had as well, so we've got 2 incredible Don't Tell Tri-City shows in the next couple of weeks. I'm on the road. If you're in North Carolina, come and check me out. Now back to the episode.
And like I always, whenever I'm putting together shows too, you know, taking that, you know, circling back to where you put that whole show together and everything is like when I'm putting a show together, I always have Ricky Morton at the back of my head because he gave me the best analogy ever when we were talking one night. He said, "Is if you've got a combination, wrestling's like going to the circus." Wrestling's going to the circus. You got the animals, okay? That's the guys with all the characters.
Yeah.
Okay? So all the characters come out and they do their thing, okay? Then you got the strong men, okay? The strong men come out and they're lifting weights and everything. That's the power guys.
Yeah.
That's the guys that are throwing guys a mile up in the air, catching them and power slamming them.
Right.
Doing different things like that. Then you've got the acrobats. You've got the tightrope walkers. They're walking across the tightropes. That's your high flyers. That's your guys that do your flips and stuff like that. And if you mesh it all together, if you just have that perfect recipe where everything is right. Yeah. These guys are doing this part, this guy's doing that part, this guy's doing that part. They're all working together to put on an awesome show. Yeah. So you got that mix of everybody with that different style mixed together, putting on the perfect show. Yeah. You have an element where everybody's entertained. Nobody's bored.
That's the goal for really all of our shows, I will say, is that, you know, oftentimes we'll have between 4 and 7 or 8 comics on a lineup. And I just want to make sure that every person in that 115, whatever crowd liked at least a couple of them. You know, like maybe there's one out of the 6 you don't. In fact, I was just telling somebody the other day, the only negative review I've ever gotten, like through the actual company and through the thing, knock on wood, you know, as of this recording, is I loved all the comedians, but one of them I hated. Yeah. And that was like a 1 star. And I was like, that's not 1 star. There were 6 comics and you only didn't like one.
That's 4 1/4 at least.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's something. The producer, my lead producer, is great with the company, and he sent it to me and he just was like, you know, shame on you, like joking. Because he was like, this is clearly a dumb review.
You put that one bad comedian in with those other 4.
And also, everyone else liked that one. You just didn't care for him, you know. And I will like so typically I try to keep it real diverse on the lineup, just as far as style and creed and background and race. You know, we want everyone to be represented. But more than that, with the NetPro show, I needed every comic was unique, but I also needed to make sure that everyone I picked could fill that room. Yes. That stage. Yes. That level. You know, so like Hunter going first was no accident. I mean, he came out doing his old wrestling intro and dances and high-fiving the crowd and almost killed himself before he even got in the ring. He was exhausted.
Out of breath for the first 5 minutes of the act.
Right, which was hilarious. And you know, again, that was totally intentional because I knew that he will come out and bring enough energy for that. What's really crazy is when I have Hunter in a tiny room in the back of a general store, with 50 people, when they're like, what is this guy? Like, it's so much, because it's that energy all the time.
I love it.
He's a special one for sure. And, we had Drew Morgan headline that one, and he's been with us many times, but he also was selected to close it because I just knew he'll make the most of it. And pretty much everybody there was like, we've never seen Drew on this level. I mean, he used the ring. He was laying on the ropes, climbing on the turn, but he used that space. He couldn't sit still. He was just having a field day. And I mean, I think I'm probably the lowest energy comedian that was on that lineup. And everyone else they all just had the best time, man. All of them reached out and said, it's a core memory. It's my favorite show I've ever done. And I know Pruitt even got to play around in the ring a little, and they all tried to relive their youth a little bit.
And I'm sure they felt it the next morning.
Oh, they did. Pruitt was in here. The next day, and he was coming up the stairs like, oh, and I was like, yeah, man, it's tough. We went to
was Pruitt the one I hit with the kendo stick?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, he was.
I looked over and I saw one of my guys about to hit him with the kendo stick, and I was like, no, you're not hitting him with that. If anybody's gonna hit him with that, it's gonna be me.
Yeah.
It's like,
you've earned that right.
I'm not gonna let you put pain on somebody else.
He did. He came in here. One of the things he said on his episode was like, I got to get hit with the kendo stick. I got to do comedy in a ring. It was like second to getting hit with the stick. It was all so fun, man. And obviously we're so grateful to you all for having us. But I think the only way that I can kind of stand out amongst 200 cities of don't tells, the whole country's full of them. But everybody does vintage shops and mini theaters and general stores or whatever. So I've done Two in a Cave. I've done, the one in the wrestling arena, and that, like these weird off the wall ideas that are maybe too a little ambitious for my own good at times, but it just is such a fun thing to do.
Oh yeah,
it really is.
And if you get to a certain point, like I have in the wrestling business, the payoff is not the money. The payoff is I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm
doing what makes me happy.
Absolutely.
So,
and what makes everyone else happy too. And I think it's one thing that Pruitt and I touched on in his episode is like at the end, because for pretty much the whole show, I'm pulled in 1,000 directions. I can barely focus on my own 10-minute set. And then as soon as Drew wraps up, I go out and say, thank you. We kick off the wrestling match, and I just had this like weight lifted off my shoulders, and I was like, you guys want to go watch a wrestling match right now? And we went and sat, and then after, when the comedians got in there, we're playing around, I just sat on the side like a proud dad. I was like, look at them. I built this playground for them, and there they are, just playing on it and hurting themselves. They're all getting injured.
That's right.
It was really special, man. And we are, obviously no release just yet, but we are for sure doing it again.
Like, you're all playing and hurting yourselves. Side trip to the ER immediately after this.
Immediately. We all went to Waffle House after just to grab a bite to eat on the way home, and Hunter came and he was a few minutes late, and we're sitting in the booth, and so I was like, oh, there's Hunter, and I turned and looked, and he was like limping in with his hand on his back, and he was like, yeah, I went a little crazy in there. And I was like, you did. Yes, you did.
Me and Crazy Steve was there that night too. So he was one of the people that were watching.
He was great. Yeah.
And y'all picked on him the whole night.
Yeah, we did. He sat right in the front. Yeah, he was asking.
They said like, you know what I'm talking about, wrestling guy, and that happened about once a set.
Yes, it did.
Everybody's pointing to Steve on the front row.
Yeah.
So yeah, that made his night. Y'all messing with him. So yeah,
that's
but
good.
He was watching, me and him together were watching you guys afterwards, and then occasionally somebody would try to take a bump or something.
Oh yeah.
And of course they took it wrong and jacked their head back or something, and me and Steve were over there going ooh 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 ooh.
I tried to tell him not to. I tried to tell him, but you just can't tell them, man. They were they were literally like kids. I mean, me and Keith Marcel, my buddy from Knoxville, was on the show, and we were sitting over there just kind of watching it all unfold, and he leaned over to me and he goes, just big ass kids, man. That's all we are. And I was like, yeah, look at them out there hurting themselves.
That's exactly what it was. Man.
It was great, man. It truly was like exactly the turnout that it needed to be.
You said Hunter, of course Hunter's been in the ring before.
Yes. Yeah.
But like a lot of those guys have never been in a wrestling ring before. Ever.
Never.
So that was the first time for them to even be in a ring,
Yeah.
And then they're performing their comedy stand-up routine in a ring. So
yeah. It was very special. And it was even like I arrived a little early, so I had been up in the ring just to kind of feel the bounce. I had also I've been in a boxing ring, but not quite like that. And just to feel the bounce and stuff.
There's some give, but there's not a whole lot of give.
There's not a whole lot of give. No, it's like a plywood trampoline. It's not really, it's not a lot. And I know that I think Travis had not actually stepped in there, and I know Keith hadn't, because I remember when Keith went up there, I have a video of him just kind of like bouncing for a second, and we had warned him like, hey man, there's a little give up there, and Keith's a big guy, and he got in there and just kind of strutted around for a second. And maybe my favorite line all night, he was leaned on the ropes, and he's probably 2 minutes into his 10-minute set, and he goes, I'm about to get out of here. And he's like, not because my time's done, but my ankles are about to give out on this ring. He's so great, man. I'm working with him again this weekend, but yeah, it was a really special show. I do want to say, so that was obviously your first venture into like comedy in the stand-up in the ring. Prior to that, outside of the traditional matches and stuff, or even those, like if you had to kind of summarize the last couple of years there at NetPro, what's usually going on in the space every weekend?
Well, we started out doing our own thing. We were still, Innovate Wrestling was still at the Civic Auditorium at the time.
Okay.
So they were, in that space in Kingsport, and we were in our own space over to the side. So, and I struck up a deal with Tony Givens, and so the times when he wasn't using his ring, I would keep it dry by putting it together and putting it at NetPro.
Gotcha.
And we were able to use it for, matches and different things like that and everything. Yeah. So over time, we had shows that were to raise money for cancer patients who had passed away. There was, I think the first show we had in there was for a cancer patient who had passed away, to get money for his family to do funeral arrangements. Yeah. So that was the very first show we ever did. Wow. In there. Past that, we slowly started doing, a few more matches here and there. And then we got to a point where in July, we opened it. We did a opening in February for training of in 2022. And then like July, we decided to do a grand opening. And we had like matches and everything. And that was actually the first time Tony Givens actually came in to NetPro and looked around. He was like, holy crap. Yeah. He's like, we got to do a show here. Yeah. So that launched off into Innovate, coming into NetPro. And eventually Innovate lost the Civic Auditorium. The city of Kingsport basically gave Dobbins Bennett the Civic Auditorium. Gotcha. Okay. And just like carte blanche, told them they could do whatever they wanted to with it. Yeah. So, because, Dobbins Bennett needs that space. Sure. Because they already haven't done remodels and upgrades and everything else. Because
Dobbins Bennett doesn't have enough.
Dobbins Bennett doesn't have enough right now, by God.
You hear that a lot. I do hear that a lot, that they don't quite have enough.
They only remodeled, 4 times in the last 10 years that I've been here.
For anyone who's listening and maybe doesn't know and isn't super local, Dobbins Bennett is a local high school. They were actually not a direct rival, but a rival high school. I went to Tennessee High, so next town over.
In their defense,
so much money.
In their defense,
they have so much money.
In their defense, and the reason they have so much money is they're in the top 4% of schools in the whole state of Tennessee.
Yeah, they're great.
So they're great. Academically, they're awesome. Yep. Sports-wise, they're awesome. Yeah. They've got all the programs. They've got all the money. Might do them some good to spread that money around a little bit more. In the area and in other areas that need it. But, hey,
and stop
what do I know? I'm not a politician. So.
Well, what do they know either?
Anyway.
The only thing I remember about Dobbins Bennett from high school is that I went to Tennessee High, and for anyone who doesn't know, we have a kind of a historic football field called the Stone Castle at Tennessee High. Yes. And it's a very narrow street up along this Stone Castle. It was built in the 30s by F. FDR. It's a very important
And
monument.
you will know it when you drive by it.
Yes, you will. Absolutely. It looks like it was built in the 30s.
And I'll be like,
And
it looks awesome.
It's very narrow
cool.
street.
For a high school stadium, it's very cool.
It's great.
So
I loved it. And I'm a little biased. I'm a little partial to it, but Dobbins Bennett was the only one that when we would do the football games, the street along the side of the castle would have to be closed because 2 tractor trailers wrapped in Dobbins Bennett logos would sit in the street the whole time to unload all the band equipment and all of the, football shit. Like they have so much money. They had 2 tractor trailers. Yeah. And we had an old yellow short bus with a couple pads in the back. We didn't have a whole lot.
And when they do Fun Fest, they have Fun Fest concerts.
Oh my goodness!
Like, you're talking about the Beach Boys and Zach Brown Band and ZZ Top, and all of them are showing up to do concerts in the Dobbins Bennett Stadium.
Absurd.
So yeah. But anyway, that was just to say, Dobbins Bennett.
Right. They moved in a little on the local wrestling.
They moved in, and of course, the Civic Auditorium is in the parking lot of Dobbins Bennett. Pretty much. So it was only a matter of time before they annexed it and took it over. So but anyway, Tony lost the Civic Auditorium in that way.
Right.
So he wasn't able to get into it anymore, and he permanently moved into NetPro. And since then, we've been doing more shows. And then we got tired of doing more shows. We did more shows.
Yeah, right. Cascade Draft House. I'm proud to tell you that Cascade Draft House is a proud first sponsor of the Mind Over Mike podcast. I'm very excited to team up with them, and they are a special business. If you love good beer, I know I do, you got to get down to Cascade Draft House. It's on State Street in Bristol, Tennessee, and they've got an amazing selection of 40 rotating taps, so there's always something new to try. They've got ciders, they've got seltzers, they've got IPAs, lagers, you name it. Tons of cool stuff, and it's not just about the drinks at Cascade. It really, truly is an awesome vibe in there. They've got open mic nights. There's fun for everybody. It's a great spot. Go and check out them, and thank Cascade Draft House for supporting the Mind Over Mike podcast. Now back to the episode.
Now we're up to every 3 weeks. There's an Innovate Wrestling show at NetPro.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil anything because I've got inside information, but he's working on something to change stuff around a little bit more, and make the shows even more interesting.
Wow!
So, but that's all I'll say.
Sure. Yeah, we can leave it there.
We can kind of throw that teaser out there.
Absolutely.
So, but that's where we've been at for the last 2 years. Is running every 3 weeks with Innovate. On the side, I've tried to run Sunday shows with the students. Sunday shows are just way hard to get off the ground.
I agree.
Sunday shows, especially for pro wrestling, Sunday shows just aren't a thing.
Right.
It's like
stand-up's very similar.
Previously worked for another school that tried to do Sunday shows, and just sometimes they were on fire, and then other times it was just like there was barely 4 people in the building. Yeah. So it's a hard thing to get off the ground. So I switched from doing Sunday shows to Friday shows now. So I'm doing the Fridays after Innovate, and if there's a long space where there's no Innovate show, then I try to throw a Friday show in there as well. Yeah. So we've actually got that this Friday. So awesome. Which I know this podcast is not going to hit in time for that to be promoted.
It'll be out 2 weeks from today. So we'll make sure to plug, all the big upcoming stuff.
You can go to the NetPro page. You can always see when the next show is going to be.
Got it. So
NetPro Facebook page always has stuff updated.
Awesome.
So, but that's where we're at now. Yeah. And then
and that's 4 years in the space.
Yeah, the 4 years in the space and everything, and that's not even everything we've done.
Right.
So we've traveled. We've done shows in nursing homes.
Gotcha.
I got my
That's pretty cool.
Mixed up.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
We've done shows in a nursing home that was just up the road that the activities director came to Innovate, came to our student shows. It was just like, you guys got to come and do a show for us.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, nursing home?
Right. That was my thought when you said it, yeah.
Are you going to wake everybody up and make sure they're there? Because we don't want to scare the crap out of anybody.
What time's the show? 1 p.m.? Yeah. Yeah. Dinner time?
It actually was.
Okay. Hey, I know my nursing homes.
So, but yeah, we did an afternoon show for them. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the family members of the people who were in the nursing home actually came and watched the show with
Oh, wow.
So that was that was really cool.
That is cool.
And we're going to do it again here in another month. So
that's awesome.
She asked us back, and she said this time she wants to sell tickets and raise money for the nursing home and for us.
Perfect.
So it's an awesome, partnership we struck up with that.
Yeah.
We've done benefit shows. We've done benefit shows for wrestlers who were having hard times.
Mm-hmm.
We've done benefit shows for wrestlers who had family members die, who were fans that came to the shows and supported Innovate.
Right. So kind of giving back to your audience.
Exactly.
And
So we've raised, I don't think we've done a show that raised less than $1,000
That's
yet.
awesome.
And I think we've raised up to $3,000 for the cause we were raising it for at one time. I think that's probably the biggest grand total we've had for a night.
Right, but that's one night.
So that's one night.
Yeah,
that's one night, and
just from selling tickets,
everybody knew who we were raising money for, and they showed up and showed out.
Yeah,
so
that's so special.
It was a great night we had that night. So
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I know I'm missing something. We're about to do a show this month, April the 18th, at Churchill Library.
Really?
We're going to go into the parking lot of the library. They're having a Guardian Riders motorcycle meet.
Yes.
And they asked us to come in. The first thing they did was like, well, you guys can come and do a booth. And I'm like, a booth? Let's do wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing wrestling matches?
Right,
and the director of the library says, y'all would do that? I was like, heck yeah, we would.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we?
Like, we'll do anything. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, you make the room for the ring, I'll put it up. We'll have some matches. So
yeah.
So we're having, it's not going to be a full blown show. It's probably going to be about 2, 3, maybe 4 wrestling matches at the most.
Sure.
But that's happening April 18th.
Awesome.
I think we're going to start at 2 p.m. in the afternoon as long as the weather cooperates.
Right. That's always a factor.
Throw that out there. Now it's going to rain.
Yeah. So. right. Yeah, we better knock on wood. I do want to ask too, because again, very ignorant, very uninitiated. On a standard night, like let's say your Friday shows or the Innovate Wrestling shows, what's a typical length? How many matches do you always include a championship? I mean, just what again for a lot of my audience may know nothing about pro wrestling. From the producer's side, how do you go about planning that event?
Say you're going to start a show at like 7:00. Okay. If you start a show at 7:00, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated as a fellow producer in a different media, like the production side is always what I'm so interested in.
And here's the thing too, is like, it's all about times. We give match times.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're not adhered to. The wrestlers just decide to go off on their own.
That also sounds like stand-up.
So, yeah.
That's a couple of my guys.
I'm on a roll. Nobody's cutting me off.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Story of my life. Yeah.
So, anyway, say, an Innovate show starts at 7:30.
Okay.
For the sake of timing, we'll just say we start at 7.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
We open doors at 6. We start at 7. If we have an extra match, some trainees want some time or something like that, you might send an extra match, an extra pre-show match to the ring with like 15 to 20 minutes before the bell time of the actual show.
Okay.
So, you get a special additional match.
Right.
Here it comes.
Sort of a warm-up.
Exactly.
Sure.
So
the opening
people are still coming in.
Oh, yeah.
People will be coming in all night long and coming and going all night long usually.
Yeah.
But if you can get them to sit and never leave, you've done something.
I was going to say that might be an area that's a little different than stand-up. Now, oftentimes there is an opening act and people are still coming in, and I will say it's very difficult to perform stand-up while that's going on. But rarely is a large part of the crowd moving around or leaving.
Well, here's one thing that I'm sure is totally different from comedy.
Okay.
There's people that we advertise that are names on television, right? So and this is just totally an example. It's not me,
sure, no favorites,
ribbing on anybody or playing favorites with anybody,
right? Okay,
but this is like just using it as an example as Ricky Morton.
Okay, right.
Say Ricky gets there, he wants to go home early. Yeah, okay. Put me on the second or third match.
Yeah,
no. People are here to see you, Ricky.
Yeah.
We got to put you on the last
match. You're
going
at the end.
Yeah. Because if we put you on second, 50 to 100 people are going to leave as soon as your match is over, and we're going to lose half the crowd. So that's your headliner stays on last. You know, it's just like sometimes that's negotiable.
Sure.
Sometimes the name wants to go on early, and
Yeah.
it's obliged and everything. You know,
Yeah.
this is like not saying Ricky Morton does that.
Right.
Not saying Ricky Morton.
I
does
do
that.
want to also a brief depart because Ricky just made me think. A lot of folks listening may be familiar with the name. For anyone who's not, he's sort of, I guess you would say, a local legend at this point. Both in
He lives here in Bristol.
He lives here. He used to come to Tennessee High football games. His son Kerry graduated a year under me, so I'm very familiar with Kerry. And I know he wrestles now as well.
Kerry wrestled in high school as well.
Yes, he did, and so I'm like lightly familiar with the family. But I mean, having someone like a Ricky Morton here and at your disposal, I assume most of the time, has that just been a tremendous asset to you?
Oh God, yeah, man.
I mean, how valuable. It's similar to me having Drew Morgan, the headliner from your show, is currently, he has some family situation and he's kind of held up right outside of Knoxville. There's no reason Drew should be here. Like, we have really lucked out with having Drew here for the last 2 years or so. He is so talented and could make it anywhere, but he's more or less stuck here for the time being, and man, I have loved it. I'm like, you can be stuck here as long as you want, bro.
I don't know how long exactly. Ricky may have been here all along. I don't know how long exactly he's been here.
I'm not sure.
I just know he's been here for a while.
Right.
I don't know exactly when, because like I think most of his family's over in Nashville.
Okay.
Because he occasionally has to go back to Nashville to take care of family business every now and then.
Gotcha.
So, but I think for the most part he's been here in Bristol for a good long while.
And he's been in the public eye for 40 plus years,
50
probably.
years.
Right.
Grew up in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
His dad was a referee. His dad was Paul Morton, the referee.
Okay.
I
didn't know that.
Legendary storylines with Ric Flair.
Right.
Midnight Express.
Yeah.
The Nightmares.
All through that kind of 70s, 80s.
That's my connection. That's my connection.
Okay.
Is the Nightmares.
Gotcha.
So it's like I was trained by Nightmare Ken Wayne.
Oh, okay.
So OVW was started by Danny Davis, the other member of the Nightmares, and I was trained by Nightmare Ken Wayne, and OVW was started up by Danny Davis.
Gotcha.
And of course, Danny went off and got famous for training people and starting up that school and everything. And Ken just kind of fizzled out.
Sure, it happens.
But yeah, it happens,
And Ricky, he's made a name for himself as well with training, I understand, and being a part of the local scene. Not only, I guess you would say 70s, 80s is kind of when he maybe is the most national level of fame, and then since then has continued to work on a smaller level. But he's still, I mean, a lot of people know that name. A lot of people.
I can tell you this right now. Last week, he was at the WWE Performance Center.
Right.
And that was, I mean, what more do you need to say? This is like one of the most legendary tag team wrestlers of all time.
I was going to ask, and I'm so dense to this stuff too, but he was part of a duo at one point, right, as well, and was maybe most known for that.
The Rock and Roll Express.
Right, Rock and Roll Express.
He was tag team partners with Robert Gibson and Rock and Roll Express and everything. That's where he got the most fame out of.
Right.
So, singles wrestler too, though. Multiple times he was over as a singles wrestler.
Yeah.
Turned heel even in WCW.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know this.
Turned heel in WCW.
Right.
Robert was injured, had broken his leg, and was on hiatus, and they didn't have anything for Ricky to do, and he turned heel and joined the York Foundation.
Okay.
Which I believe was Terry Runnels, Terry Taylor. I don't know.
Your recall for that stuff is so impressive, though.
I grew up watching it.
Right,
man.
right.
I grew up watching it.
It's similar to comedy for me, I guess. Yeah.
So and he, I think right before WrestleCade one year, they put out the York Foundation T-shirt again, and I was like, oh, I want that T-shirt.
yeah. Also, I do want to say
it's got the hot pink with the white on it.
Oh,
It's got it looks like an '80s shirt.
It's a cool shirt.
It's a cool ass shirt. So
I do love. I was gonna say that with wrestling too, much different than comedy. Some of the best merch, some of the coolest merch, and even we started off actually talking about like Austin 316 and Hulkamania and all these big waves. I think that's also kind of a separation, and it's just the branding. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan of pro wrestling, but I had a lot of the action figures as a kid. I had the ring, I had the steel cage, I still
have my ring.
They had me. You have a big one now. You got a real
big one.
Yeah,
but I'd have my original.
And you got a small one?
Small one that I had.
I inherited my uncle's figures from early 80s
Yeah.
when they were real hard rubber and didn't, they were posed
You
and
got the
didn't move.
LJNs.
Oh my God, I had a couple of them that if you threw that bad boy right, you could crack a skull with that thing. They
Kill a moose
weighed,
with that thing.
they weighed like a brick, those things. And God, I'd love to know where some of that stuff is now. He had, Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan. He had all the classics. And then where they really got me in my youth was they've done an amazing job with the video games.
Yes.
As a kid, I mean, some of those early WWE games were just all I could think or talk about, not actually knowing or caring about the sport at all.
The late 80s, early 90s ones.
I have some of those too.
WWF Superstars arcade game and the WrestleCade game.
Yeah.
The WrestleCade game was money.
I had one for the N64 that I really liked that was really cool because with the N64 it had that that analog stick and you could 3D in the ring and stuff. And they have just, what a great job wrestling has done of really capitalizing on everything from t-shirts, video games, action figures.
Really funny. I got one of the 2K games one year. My wife walked in and I would play the game, just be sitting there playing the game and everything. And she'd walk in, she'd look at me, she'd see the controller and everything. And then she walked in on me watching Raw one night. And then she turned around and looked at me and she goes, "You're not playing your game. What is this on the thing? Oh my God, this is actually the real thing." Okay. Because she couldn't tell the difference.
So good.
So yeah. So
they're getting scared.
Yeah, it's getting scary the way they're rendering stuff now. It's crazy.
Yeah. So. And I actually I maybe should have prefaced before we got it. All these toys and stuff. I was an animation major in college. And my freshman year I was a game design major, so I spent a lot of time in that rendering space. And I mean, I'm still, as someone I'm not exactly a layman, but I'm a couple years removed from it now, but I can see things like that and just really freak out and geek out of it's getting so impressive to me. And I think all the sports games really are getting there.
I grew up loving wrestling and tinkering with computers. That's my day job now. Is I've been a field tech for Toshiba for the past 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But I've basically followed a tech support contract for Walgreens for the past 26 years.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
I got hired in 2000 to support Walgreens by Walgreens. So I was a Walgreens employee for 17 years.
Wow.
Then I was an IBM employee for 2 years. Now I've been a Toshiba employee for the past 5 years.
Right.
But everything's been Walgreens.
Right.
It's been, they finally decided we're just going to outsource this. You guys can stay servicing us.
Right.
But you're going to be employed by different companies now. So it's okay, pay the same?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, am I getting raises? Yep.
Good.
I'm fine.
I don't care what color shirt I have to wear as long as I'm making the same or better.
So I've had to pick some fights, over the years with IBM people and never with a Toshiba people yet.
Okay.
But, I think they're more forgiving and understand our plight sometimes.
Sure.
So
that's quite a contrast too, going from the IT Toshiba lane during the day to then to the pro wrestling. I mean,
we get to 5 o'clock.
Believe
5
me.
o'clock hits.
Yeah.
Okay, my phone gets put on the desk at home.
Right.
And I go down the street to NetPro.
Yeah. Do you enjoy that contrast though? Does that keep you sane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the flip side of that coin is I'm sitting at home staring at four walls when I'm not at NetPro.
Right.
And now
going crazy.
When I clock out at 5 o'clock, I go down the street. I drive all over.
Yeah.
Okay. I drive just about 2 hours in every direction from Kingsport.
Right.
And
me too.
Except for over into North Carolina. I don't touch North Carolina anymore. And that's just strictly because there's enough guys in North Carolina I shouldn't have to.
Sure.
So
sure.
But I'm literally the only Toshiba tech in Northeast Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
And I go up the Virginia-Kentucky corridor.
Gotcha.
There. So I spend a lot of time in the mountains driving on 2-lane roads and rounding corners and almost getting run off the road by 18-wheelers.
You and me both, but I'm doing it for $30 and a free beer. That's the sad part. Is I'm doing it. I'm doing it for nothing. I'm losing so much money all the time. Yeah, that's the story of my life.
You come back and you're like, I'm never doing that drive again. And then there you go, right back.
And then somebody goes, "Hey, you want a spot?" And I'm like, "I guess I do." Yes, I do. Yeah.
So yeah. fun.
Well, that contrast also I think is important for a lot of folks, and I think you and I may be similar there too. Because during the day I'm a graphic designer, and I sit in a cubicle with no windows for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So then at night I go on stage and
I tried.
I hate it.
I tried it.
I tried
it,
dude.
I was at a call center.
I was as well. I was for the first year.
I lasted 6 months in the call center.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
And it was literally just me sitting there staring at four walls of a cubicle.
Yep.
Answering phones with pissed off people. And it was AST computers.
Okay.
A computer brand I'm sure you've never heard
no,
of.
AST. No.
But it was AST computers.
Okay.
And here's the thing with an AST computer. When you bought an AST computer, you got 24-hour over-the-phone tech support for the life of the computer.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay?
Wonderful for the guy working the phone.
And here's the thing. The computers were such crap. Right. Okay?
They
were such crap. This was, God, what was this? This was like 97, 98 maybe.
Okay.
These computers were such crap, they wouldn't run Windows 95. Okay?
In 98. Right.
In 98.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So anytime somebody called us up and said, hey, I want to put Windows 95 on this computer, we had to tell them, this will void your warranty.
Right.
You can no longer call us for tech support if you put Windows 95 on this computer.
Were you like, please put it on there?
So that was AST's out.
Yeah.
If you put updated software on this, it's going to crap this computer out. So
that's so funny. I spent a little over a year in the call center, and then just kind of domino effect of some unfortunate changes in the company structure and stuff. The graphic design position was open, and I have a degree in that, and so I just sprinted across the upstairs to that cubicle, and I've never thought about going back to the call center. I mean, that really saved me as far as staying at the same employer. But that contrast during the day of those, those four cubicle walls, like you said, or even now, like being on the road and traveling and doing the IT stuff, I think that for me, at least, it's very important. It does make me appreciate my nighttime ventures, and my nighttime ventures sometimes make me appreciate the 8 hours I get to sit and relax during the day. I think it's balance in a way.
I know, like working for IBM. Okay, that was the most stressful time I've ever had at this job.
Really,
because you would think, oh man, IBM's a huge company. They'd be awesome to work for. Okay. And, me tinkering with computers at 14, I would have thought, well, I'm going to work for IBM. This is badass, okay? 40-year-old me working for IBM, this sucks. Yeah. This is terrible.
What made it different from the other times? Because it's the same role.
IBM is officially just a brand now.
I see.
They don't make anything.
Right.
They're just a brand.
Just a sticker that goes on.
Somebody else will make that computer. They'll slap IBM on it. Mm-hmm. And oh, we're IBM. Right. And there was literally conference calls that I was on where it was like, we're IBM. We can do whatever we want to. And I was like, we're about to lose this account. Because it was about Walgreens. Yeah. It was just like,
that's a pretty big deal.
You're telling the customers we're IBM. We can do whatever we want to. This is going to go badly. And it went badly. Okay. It was a 5-year contract, and Walgreens had an opt-out option at like 2.5 years, and they opted out.
Yeah, that's rough.
And that's when we all shifted over to Toshiba.
I do think anytime a company kind of almost like rests on its laurels, that's actually, oddly enough, that's something that comes up on this show a lot with much smaller level local business owners. Like my friend Spence Flagg owns Cascade Draft House, and he was in here a few months ago and to kind of launch his sponsorship of the show. And we talked about, he had an 18-month period when he's opening his business where he's like, I quit my job. I'm in it. I'm committed. There's 18 months. I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. Then we open, and he's like, I think a lot of people would get to that opening day and in that opening day and go, we made it. And then just sit there. And then he's like, that's how businesses die, and that's something a lot of people on the show have said. Have you found that with NetPro, I assume it's the exact same, where you're constantly having to innovate and no pun, but innovate and grow and adapt, not only your wrestlers, but the actual show itself. I mean, have there been any major like format changes or anything like that?
I have toyed with format changes. I've toyed with doing shows in different venues, different things like that. Yeah. But it's like you said though, NetPro is 1,000% me.
Yep.
Okay. if I sit on my ass, NetPro's sitting on its ass.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it'll show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually.
So,
Maybe not immediate, but
I stay busy from 7:30 when my alarm goes off in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to kick some of my trainees out the door and be like, we're closed. Get the hell out of here. Go home. Have a life, please.
I'm trying to go to bed.
I got to go to bed and get up in the morning and go to work. So
yeah, please.
Which I love those guys. I love every one of my trainees that is in it. They're in it, to actually make something of themselves.
Yeah.
And I see it, and it makes me so proud of them too, because they're so hungry. They want it all. They want every bit of it.
Yeah.
And they come to me constantly with questions. It's like, how do I get over here? How do I go to Kentucky and wrestle? How do I go to South Carolina and wrestle? How do I go to North Carolina? This is like, they don't want to just wrestle in East Tennessee. They want to wrestle everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Well, that's all you can ask for, right? As the person kind of over that, facilitating that training. I mean,
but this is my first 3 hours of being home on a Monday morning.
Okay.
Hang on. I actually wrote the list down. Okay. It was like, I just got inundated with everything. Like all of the sudden, this was a Monday morning. I came back from vacation. Okay. So like,
that was your first mistake. Thinking you could take a vacation.
Thinking I could take a vacation was my first mistake. Okay.
Yeah.
So this was me coming back off of vacation, which my phone went off the entire time I was gone, by the way, too. So it wasn't really a vacation.
Sure.
So the next time I go on vacation, I'm going into the park and I'm going camping where I have no cell phone signal.
Perfect. Toss it. Leave it in the car.
So let me pull up the list here, because I texted my guys that helped me run the school and everything, and I was just like, this has been the first 3 hours of my Monday. So let's see. Okay, that's not it.
A busy Monday too can just really do something for your soul when you're like, man, we're really hitting it hard this week.
So it was one guy pitched a storyline, another guy pitched a match, a possible ring rental this Saturday. Kerry Morton messaged me about ring rental for doing a show at Bristol Motor Speedway night race.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Got like 20 service calls for Toshiba because nobody covered my area while I was out.
Yeah. So you're a week behind,
I was a week behind on work, so I'm running and gunning. Somebody wanted to pick one of our rings up for a show as soon as our show was done on Friday. And somebody's coming in for a VIP visit this weekend.
Is that all? Is that all?
And
all within 3 hours.
My taxes are ready.
Right.
I can't make this shit up.
You're like, I've got to get groceries. I've got to,
and I'm like, while this is happening, okay, keep in mind, while this is happening for the first 3 hours on a Monday, I'm driving for all corners of the earth.
Yeah.
Servicing the area for Walgreens, okay? Now, and here's the thing, too, is like, I don't service just Walgreens anymore. They've added 7 more accounts onto me.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Excellent.
So, I service Walgreens, Tractor Supply, Best Buy, Ross Dress for Less, Dollar General.
Oh, well, there's not many of those.
No, not at all.
That's good.
So and they only kill a register about once an hour.
Right.
So
I can imagine. the technical difficulties at the local Dollar General.
But all that, for the first 3 hours on a Monday, and.
Now, how do you not turn heel? There's my question. How do you not just go totally rogue?
Or like we used to say in the 80s and 90s, let's go postal.
Sure.
But no, that's the thing is like, if I sit still, that's what happens.
Exactly.
Okay, everything piles up.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay. And I've told a lot of people this lately. It's like, NetPro is me. NetPro is me 24/7. It's not me on a whim.
Yep.
It's not me going, hey, I want to be in the wrestling business. It's not, just, hey, I can do this and then put this off to the side. No, I can't rest.
Yeah.
I can't, don't get me wrong. I do. At 10, 11 o'clock at night, I finally put the phone down. I get some sleep.
Sure.
And, sometimes Fridays are my only days off.
Yeah.
But we've switched to shows on Fridays now, so I don't get Fridays off.
There goes that.
So
yeah.
the slow day is Sunday.
Right.
Where I get to run training from 1 to 5 and go home. But then it's time to mow the yard.
Right. There's always life. That's it. I mean, a lot of the folks that I've had on too, like other business owners or even the psychologist that I mentioned, I think that it's easy to sit in this room with, let's just use maybe Spence as an example and go, yeah, sure, he runs Cascade. And I mean, he's the owner, but he's not there 24/7. But he's also a father of like a 10-year-old, 9-year-old kid. He's also a husband. He's also a son and a brother and like 1,000 other things that life throws at us on top of these full-time commitments that we give ourselves. I think it's so refreshing to me to sit with someone like you who, again, objectively does have a lot of success in the space and is very respected, but to hear you honestly go, I'm exhausted by it. Like, it's not all success. It's not.
And that's the thing is, like, everybody wants the success and nobody wants to work for it.
Exactly.
That's what I run into constantly in the wrestling business.
That should be the slogan for stand-up comedy. Yeah. That should literally be the slogan.
I get to see it, like, on every level.
Yeah.
Okay. I get to see it on every level of a pro wrestler. Okay.
Sure.
Because like I get to see it where it's like, oh, this is my dream. And I get this email or this Facebook message at least once a month.
Okay.
This is my dream.
Yeah.
Oh, I want this so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do anything. I'll do whatever it takes to start to be a professional wrestler. And then they never show up.
Sure.
They never show up.
I know 1,000 people that go
walking through the door for the first
100%.
time. So.
Or going on stage. I mean, or in the ring. I have so many friends, especially when I first started. You know, now I'm 4+ years in, so I think a lot of people understand. Like, no, he kind of means it now. But like in the early days of doing stuff, all of my friends, who a lot of them are funnier than I'll ever be, would be like, I could do it, and I'm like, you should. They never did. Or I had a buddy that for the better part of the 4 years I've been doing it, still he'll be like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. Like, but you're just not gonna.
I can count on two hands people who, and when we first started, there was a deposit. There was straight up a deposit. I've kind of switched that now, where you get a 1-day trial.
Okay.
And it's
That's
one day trial for $30.
Right.
Okay. Because that pays me for my time.
Right.
And it doesn't break you either.
And you just get to learn, do I want this as much as I thought I did?
And, and I don't touch them.
Okay.
I let them hit the ropes, I let them roll, and I let them bump.
Okay.
Those are the 3 things they're going to do.
Yeah.
And because I figured out those are the 3 things everybody wants to do.
Right.
They figure out the ropes hurt, bumping hurts, rolling hurts.
Yeah, it all hurts, really.
And then I never see them again.
Yeah, of course.
And that saves me my time.
Yep.
That saves them money.
Yeah.
You know, and it really gets rid of people pretty quickly. So
sure.
When we first started, it was $300. Because a $300 deposit, you're paying half of your beginner course. Our beginner course is $600 total.
Okay.
And I work with people on payments and everything.
Sure.
But I was real strict at the start of $300 up front.
Yeah.
Then we start.
Right.
And then you come in and do whatever.
Just to show you that they mean it.
I can count on 2 hands the times that people paid me $300, came in one day. They did everything fine. I got them good, got them out the front door. Says, hey, you going to come back? Yeah, I'm going to come back. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Never saw them again.
Sure.
And I'm just like,
sure.
Guess it wasn't your life's passion.
Yeah, right. Like you said it was. Well, some dreams are also better off just being dream. You know, that's another thing I see in stand-up a lot, where people are like, this is my dream. And I go, it should have stayed a dream. You know, like
I've heard it said a lot lately. Being a pro wrestler in pro wrestling is not for everybody. And it's 100% true.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say if you love pro wrestling, you can't be a referee.
Sure.
You can't work in production.
Of course.
You can't work in, audio or, being a cameraman.
Writing.
Or, working backstage doing something.
Yeah.
Being a runner, being something.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I fill all those jobs with trainees until it's their time to be in front.
Okay.
So
that's a great system too.
It's it teaches them to be humble.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're not humble in the wrestling business, honestly, I don't want anything to do with you.
Sure.
There are some people who have earned their stripes. They've earned their ego. They have a right to act that way.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that I never knew even existed before I got into the wrestling business. And now that I'm in the wrestling business, I know they exist, and I'm just like, yeah, that guy shouldn't be acting that way.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who he was before I got into the wrestling business. So,
man, the parallels. It's I mean, it's the same. It really, and maybe that's more of a human thing too, of like ego and humility. I think we see it a lot.
And
It's a
need
lot.
a certain amount of ego to be in the wrestling business.
Well, I say that about I go, if you think that people want to listen to you talk for 5 minutes, there's some level of delusion or ego that you have to have, to get. I've said this before on the show, so forgive me if anybody's listening, but I always tell like new comics and stuff, I go, to be in stand-up, you need like a dash of delusion, just a dash. But some people, the lid was loose when they went to dash. You know what I mean?
Somebody left the cap unscrewed.
It just dumped in their bowl, man. I mean, there's a few where you go, "What are you doing?" And a lot of it's very good intention and very sometimes very supportive, nice people who just. I don't know. It's just not there, and that I'm sure you see it with wrestling as well. And I do want to ask because
I've been told a bunch of times I'm too nice of a guy to be in the wrestling business.
I get it a lot too.
And what's really funny is like I tell them, you haven't seen me mad. I've only been really, really, really mad probably a handful of times in 17 years.
Yeah, I bet that's terrifying. Well, it's usually the guys that are the nicest that when they get to that point, it's just. Yeah, terminal.
Like, you put, and I've warned people before. I was like, you push the right button on me, you're gonna get the wrong Dan.
Sure.
And they're like, and I'm like, yeah, you haven't seen it.
Tread lightly.
Sure. So
that's fair too.
Because like I've legit been in 2 fights in the ring.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Legit. Okay. And I won both of them.
Okay.
I didn't want to win both of them.
Right.
I wanted to go out and have a match and entertain people.
Yeah. But it escalated to...
It escalates to a point where it's like, this guy's not being safe. He's hitting me for real.
And that's in front of a crowd, too.
In front of a crowd.
Which is a whole other... Yeah.
So now I'm going to hit him back for real. In front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And we might turn into an MMA fight. Who knows?
Sure. Never know what you'll see.
So, but that's the thing is like, you learn a lot about yourself being in the pro wrestling business. So I'm sure you learn a lot about yourself being in the comedy business.
Oh, so, for sure. You definitely learn how much you want it. And that's very similar. I think a lot of things are similar. And another, you keep mentioning the trainees, and that's a very interesting thing to me, that not only do you have this space and facilitate these shows, but you also take the time to invest in kind of the next generation or to facilitate the talent. I'm just curious, again, from almost the stand-up perspective, is the performative being in a ring in front of a crowd, is that ever a factor that makes someone stop coming back to you, or is it usually more the physicality that kind of pushes them away?
A lot of the physicality.
Okay.
A lot of the ability to just be able to be athletic enough to do certain things. Sure. That will push people away quicker.
And to rebound maybe from the bruises and the soreness.
I see just like a whole array of people coming in, is like,
sure.
I've got guys I've currently got a trainee who was on a dinner show in Pigeon Forge.
Oh, okay.
And I've got another guy who was a pastor.
Wow.
I've got another guy who, is a FedEx driver. I've got another guy who works the deli counter at a supermarket.
Yeah.
I've got another guy that works construction.
That's really interesting.
So it's not just like we're getting them from all in one area of life.
Right.
There's all areas of life.
Yeah.
And all these guys are coming in.
Yeah.
So, and I'll even say, I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to pick him out and pick on him or anything.
Sure.
I got one guy that's got stage fright.
Yeah.
But he's getting over his stage fright.
Right.
Because he's getting in front of people and he's wrestling.
Right.
So
it's the only way to do it.
It turns you into a different person.
Yes, it does.
Like I turned into a different person.
Right.
So that's the thing. It's like I changed my lifestyle literally to be a wrestler.
Really?
I changed my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's either you go on the healthy track and you be a wrestler and everything and you stay athletic and you can stay doing this, or you can, decide to, the gym's not for me, but I still want to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And that ain't such a good idea.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing is like a lot of my guys, we even have a guy that we have 2 Marines. We have 2 Marines.
Oh, okay.
That's another thing too. Wow. Is like we've got 2 Marines.
Yeah.
So and both of them are athletic as hell.
Sure.
So it's in also, I've got a high school kid. Okay, I've got a high school kid who's got asthma.
Right, but he loves it.
How many times has he used his inhaler in the past year?
Really?
0.
Because he's in there.
Because he's in there.
Yeah.
And his mom came to me and she said, "Hey, my kid, a year ago when we did blood work, his numbers were off the charts, unhealthy. Sure. He just had his blood tests again. His numbers are all normal."
That's awesome.
So, and that's from him coming in and working out with us, not from him working out at the high school that he goes to.
Right.
Which, I'm not knocking health programs at the high school. I'm not knocking
I
PE.
am.
So,
they ain't doing it. Yeah, it's in Tennessee at least. I
don't even know what a PE course is in Tennessee.
I can tell. I mean, I'm not that far removed. It's laughable. Yeah. It's truly, and maybe more than just the physicality involved, the education portion of nutrition and things like. I mean, it's next to zero as far as my education is concerned. Just the whole him coming in and doing something with us. It's just like, and I'm not necessarily having him wrestle. Sure.
It was like we do 3 to 4 hour sessions. So for the 3 hours he is there because he's got to go home early because he's got to go to school the next day.
Right. He's got algebra at 7.
Right. Yeah. So, which I'm sure I'm sure that's a fun algebra class.
That's so crazy.
Like, "Hey bud, whose ass did you kick last night?" An algebra class.
I had a friend. I want to give a quick shout. My friend Peyton Williams. He's now in college at UT, but when he started stand up a couple years after I did, he was going to Tennessee High. He was a senior in high school, or maybe even a junior. And all the time, we'd be at Mike's on a Wednesday. It'd be 11 o'clock. We're all in the alley, hanging out, smoking cigarettes, just throwing jokes. And I'd turn to Peyton and go, "Bro, do you have what do you have? Chemistry at 8 o'clock? What do you go home? What are you doing out here, man?" Like, that's a whole other level of dedication that they're balancing that with what they love. That's a special person.
That was the thing too, is like, I made sure that his mom keeps us up to date on his grades.
Oh yeah.
And the kid's a straight A student.
Perfect.
The kid's a straight A student.
I almost wondered, I mean, the commitment to something like wrestling that he's found, it kind of goes hand in hand, right? With someone who's committed to success and growing. Like, it would shock me if you had a person flunking out of high school who's also showing up and putting in the work. Like,
you'd be surprised.
Oh, really?
You'd be surprised.
Interesting.
Like, wrestlers aren't always the academic bunch.
Well, sure. No, I don't think I'm surprised by that. I believe that.
I was a C student at best, okay?
That's fine.
B's
C's
and
great.
A's were small miracles.
C's get degrees. That's fine.
So there you go.
That's fine. Yeah.
I went back to college and got an associate's degree, and finished that out and everything. So
yeah.
And that's what's got me the Toshiba job for the past, 26 years. So,
right.
But it's
not what you
weird,
love,
though. It's weird because everybody's like, "What do I do to get better? What do I do to get better?" And then you tell them what they got to do to get better. They're like, "I ain't doing that."
Yeah.
Well, you ain't gonna go anywhere then.
Bad news.
Yeah. You're not gonna get better. You're not gonna go anywhere. So.
Yeah.
There's a local guy that just constantly preaches against what I do on,
I got a couple
one of the
those.
local promoters.
Yeah, I got a couple of those as well.
He's gone on a couple of podcasts and railed on what I'm doing. So I guess I get to go on a podcast and rail on him now.
Here it is, and 30 people might hear it.
And 30 people might hear it.
We might get 30 big listens.
They're like, well, hey, I'll tell you this: you're going to get at least 30 more because I got 30 students.
All right, perfect. You tell them to click play and go practice.
But that's the thing, though, is like it's not 1970 something anymore. That's the hardest thing to put across to some of the old school guys in wrestling.
Right.
It's not 1970s anymore. It's not 1980s.
Yeah.
It's not 1990s.
Yeah.
Hell, it ain't even the 2001s to the 9s anymore.
We're far removed.
When I started in 2008, the bullying was still going on. The hazing was still going on. Nobody wanted to lose their spot. Screw the new guys. Beat those new guys up any chance you get.
Yeah.
That was still happening.
Yeah.
That was still happening.
But it's not now.
And it's not now.
Not as much.
We've turned a corner. We've turned a corner. And if you do that now, there's social media. You're going to get blasted as a bully.
Yeah.
You're going to get blackballed because nobody wants to work with you. They see you as drama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different era.
Yeah.
It's a totally different era.
Stand-up's very much the same. I think maybe we got there a little quicker, it sounds like, timeline-wise. I think that for the better part of the last 20 years, it started to head in that direction. Now, obviously, I'm on a very low level of the totem pole. At the highest, it's still pretty extreme with the gatekeeping and the slandering and all the backdoor deals and stuff. But on at least a local level, when I started, I think that core group that I began with at Blue Ridge here in Bristol, I would consider them like a family or a graduating class, so to speak. And there's really not a lot of animosity or hatred. A lot of them don't even do it anymore, which helps. But there are, I think stand-up has almost, and I hesitate to say this because it's, and I'm half kidding here, but we've almost swung too far in the other direction though, where it's like, we need a little bit of that bullying back. I think I don't know, man. We used to, there was a guy named Johnny who we all loved back in the day when I started. And Johnny was like the mean uncle of the club. Like when new guys would come in, he would make them so nervous. They would piss their pants and leave and never trust them. And I used to think, that's awful, man. Don't do that to people. And now he's been gone for about a year. And every time I go by there, I'm like, we need Johnny back up in this. He's somebody.
Johnny back.
Somebody. And I may have told this on the show before, but one time, my favorite version of this guy, this new kid came in, you could tell it's his first time ever trying comedy. And I'm assuming like wrestling, it's terrifying if you've never done it. It's not as physical, but it's stage fright, especially. And this kid's all shaky and nervous, and he's setting up like a National Geographic tripod, a big tripod with a camera for his first set. And it's obviously his first. And nobody's really bothering him. And Johnny walks in and he's like, new kid? And I was like, I think so. And he was like, I'm gonna go talk to him. And I was like, man, you don't have to do that.
Like, oh no, don't.
You're right. I was like, and then I was like, but I do want to hear what he's gonna say. So I follow him over there. We're kind of distant, me and my buddy Michael, and we just hear Johnny go over there, and he like punches the kid on the arm, and he's like, hey, and the kid's like, oh hi, and he goes, first time. And he was like, yeah. And Johnny goes, nice camera. And he was like, thanks. And he goes, hey, this ain't gonna cost you your Netflix special. And that poor kid, I've never seen again. After that first time, man, it was so, and like, on some level, that's awful. That kid may have been the greatest comedian ever. But I feel that if he was, he would have gotten through that, because Johnny hates me, and I made it through it. I love it now. Do you see, and that's almost more camaraderie and like playful hazing. Do you see that a lot with your guys too, where it's it's not bullying.
Yeah, it's not bullying.
It's just busting balls and having fun, and you're right.
Like we were saying earlier, it's Family Guy humor.
And
I loved when Family Guy first came out, like in
98, something like that.
Somewhere between 95 and 2000, somewhere in there.
And then they canceled,
and then they canceled, and they came back, and everything. It was, I love that type humor.
I do too.
And all my guys are Family Guy humor guys.
Perfect.
So we all fit together. We all fit together like one big giant motley crew.
Yeah.
So But
do you consider wrestlers? One thing that you did mention is all these different walks of life. That you have all these guys: the FedEx driver, the Marine, the deli counter. All those things, is that because, do you think that's kind of a byproduct of wrestling reaching so many different people over the last 40 years too, that it's not their dream because they've never heard of wrestling, like it came to them at a time in their lives where it resonated, and then they are now pursuing it. I think comedy's the same. Rarely do I know one example of a person who claims to have never seen a comedy special before trying it, and she still does it. I don't know how much validity there is to that. I mean, I think comedy's kind of always around, and maybe not stand-up, but comedy. She's a funny person for sure. But when you see this group of like ragtag, is it kind of like Island of Misfit Toys? Do you ever think of it that way? Where it's like, what is wrong with us? We're all just in it together.
We all want to jump in here and beat each other up. It's awesome. Let's go do it, guys. Woo!
It is.
So it is. It's you say that, and that was Dusty Rhodes when he was in charge of NXT. That was his favorite phrase. It's like, these are all my broken toys, and I'm gonna fix my toys and get them going. And everything.
We use it in stand up a lot too. Misfit toys. Yeah.
So that was his phrase when he was in NXT as a trainer.
It's very true, and I think it is. It attracts so many different kinds of people that when they all mesh, it's honestly my favorite thing about comedy is like that wrestling show is a great example of like, Brandy Augustus is on that show, for example. She works for a social justice foundation by day. She's 40. She has 2 kids. She and I have almost nothing in common. You know, she's a very strong-willed black woman.
Yeah.
We're not the same person, but we love each other, man. And every time we're in a room together with Drew Morgan, who, you know, like just a totally different lifestyle than Keith is a truck driver, and Pruitt works for the VA and he was in Iraq. Like all these things that we don't have in common. The only thing we all have in common is this thing that we love.
Yes.
That's the democracy there. And I think it sounds like that's the same situation.
And see, that's the thing too, is like,
it's beautiful.
It's guys who latched on to certain wrestling personalities too. We all latched on to different personalities.
So, you know, I have to ask, and this is obviously a hot button thing, but for you personally, what are some of your roots with it? Like when you're a kid, who's on the TV? Who's on the in the floor with the action figures?
The one that drew me in was Hulk Hogan.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I'm sure that's a common answer.
10 to 12, I'm watching Saturday night's main event.
Perfect.
And
perfect time.
Because I'm thinking Saturday Night Live's coming on.
Right.
And I was like, oh, Saturday Night Live has been preempted for Saturday night's main event. And I'm like, what is this? And then here comes Hulk Hogan. Here comes Randy Savage. Here comes all this stuff. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So I had to have more.
Your 10-year-old boy brain is like, I can't even handle this right now.
I had to have
My
more.
life has changed forever.
And so, you know, I'd get into the TV guide and I'd figure out what channels had wrestling on them and everything. I'd start watching them on cable.
Yeah.
And my grandfather started out watching Channel 5 wrestling. I don't know what year he started, but I think he actually told me he went to shows at the Ellis Auditorium, which was one of the original show places in Memphis.
Okay.
And that was, God, that had to have been the 60s or the 70s.
Wow. Right. So at that point, and I guess maybe it's fair too, which we're a little late in now, but for an audience who maybe isn't super hip to the wrestling thing, give it just like a cliff notes of, you know, obviously most people know WWE now. It's on Netflix. It's as big as it gets, you know, the Logan Pauls, the John Cena's, all these public icons. But to go way, way back to then, I mean, it's mostly, from my understanding, and I've watched a couple documentaries and things, you've got the Southern guys too, right? That's a big factor. You got Ric Flair in the South, who's not necessarily nationally famous, but in the South he's the man, right?
That was
and that's by 70s, 80s.
When you start getting into Ric Flair territory, that's late 70s, I believe. Maybe early 70s.
Which is also kind of a Ricky Morton era too. He'd be fascinating to talk to too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see. I mean, you go far enough back, guys are shoot wrestling. You know, it's a mix of predetermination.
Right.
But guys are shoot wrestling.
Right.
They're actually wrestling.
Right.
Okay. And Luthez, you don't mess with Luthez, man.
Okay.
You don't mess with Luthez. Because, like,
so that's an early.
Ken actually had a story. My original trainer, Ken, had a story where he was refereeing a Luthez match. And Lou put a guy, like, basically turned a guy into a pretzel and pinned him. And Ken said he was so amazed, he just stood right there, was like jaw dropped that he actually like tied this guy into a pretzel and had his shoulders down to the mat. And Lou finally looked up at Ken and goes, "So are you going to count him, kid?"
Right. He's so captivated, he can't even do his job.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
It's just like he literally like was.
And
so
that's
shocked
in the '60s too. You think somewhere in that
60s, 70s era, somewhere in there.
Wow.
So, you know, you go far enough back, you know, you get all the Nick Bockwinkel's, the Luthez's, the O'Connors, and all those guys. You start looking at black and white footage, which is on YouTube, by the way.
Really?
You can YouTube any of this crap.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You start watching some of that stuff, you realize these guys were going at it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
May have been predetermined.
Yeah.
May have been predetermined. And
It's come a long way.
There was a whole, whole faculty of promoters nationwide that worked for NWA directly that promoted matches nationwide and decided who the champion was and everything else.
Right.
But holy crap, did they ever go after it in the matches?
Yeah.
You know, and when Ric Flair can brag about going, you know, an hour every night and twice on Sundays, heck yeah.
Yeah.
He can brag about it.
Yeah.
Okay, because he did it.
Yeah.
So
he's an interesting one for me too, because I think he has kind of, a lot of those guys actually have kind of merged into the stand-up world, and so I've become a little more aware of them in their older age, and watching documentaries of them and stuff. And I think that the level of icon that you can become in that space is also something that, I mean, I think a lot of people know Richard Pryor, a lot of people know Eddie Murphy, but you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't know Ric Flair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Hulk Hogan or John Cena, even maybe
he's
the newest
car shield
example.
Commercials now.
Right? Yeah. Right. Like they are everywhere. Right. And it's so fascinating to me that's at the John Cena visiting the kids and the hospital is at the tip top of the fame. But then somewhere on that same ladder is NetPro and what you guys are doing. It's not lower, it's just a different structure. Yep. And you're there and you're doing it. I mean, is there a commonality between your trainees and kind of new guys too, of like, do they all, is it always Hulk Hogan? Is it always, everybody has their own guy?
It's not the same guy.
Yeah.
It's not the same guy every time.
Yeah.
And with one of my guys, it's Seth Rollins. With another of my guys, it's Roman Reigns. With another of my guys, it's, shoot. Let me think of a couple of them.
Those are some newer examples
Osprey,
too.
Omega, they see these guys going and they want to do the same things they do. Yeah. They always can't. They not always can't do those things. And everything. So, I stick with fundamentals, and I kind of bring them down to earth a little bit when it does that.
Right.
Because like the biggest regret I hear of a lot of the guys who are old and in my age now and hurting. And not even able to walk around the house, really, is nobody ever like calmed me down and told me, hey, don't do that shit. And if I can be that voice for those guys and just be like, hey, there's a cushion over there, practice that move a couple of times, and then maybe you can do it. Right. And once you get it, where you're hitting it consistently. Yeah. And
in the moment too, it's probably hard for them to accept that at times and to slow down and internalize. I think stand-up's very similar. Everybody in the room's got their own influence. Like I have friends who are, he's a Pryor guy. She loves Leanne Morgan. Nate Bargatze's a big one right now. Shane Gillis is probably the biggest one.
Here's one I'll ask you about.
Yeah.
Do you like Christopher Titus?
Christopher Titus. I don't. Let me look. They all blend together.
Christopher Titus. I think he actually had the Fox series Titus Rules or something like that.
Okay.
But he's a stand-up comedian who basically does stand-up comedy on stories about his life. Interesting. About his divorce. He's turned his entire life into a comedy.
Oh, I see the. I do see the show there as well. Yeah, Titus. I'm not super familiar with him, but there are a lot of people.
Yep, right there. That Titus.
There's the show.
Yeah.
So there's a lady right now named Leanne Morgan. I don't know if you know her at all. She's actually originally from Knoxville, and she is I think she's 60, and she is right now at the peak of her career thus far. She's growing, but like she's on Netflix. She's just announced like a huge show in Knoxville, I think at the Food City Center. Like she's at the peak of her career thus far. And so there's a lot of and her whole act is, here's my life. Yeah. I'm Southern, my daughters, my things. I have an aunt who worships the ground that Leanne walks on because she relates to all that stuff.
She's the one that talks with like the Southern Belle accent too.
She is.
I've heard her. Yes,
very funny. And Leanne's also very clean, so she's very approachable for a lot of Southern audiences and stuff. This guy, I don't know right off the top of my head, but I noticed that he's 61, and that is an age where they can find real success because they have so much life to pull from.
Well, he if you go and you look up his Fox series is hilarious. Stacy Keach plays his dad.
Okay.
And it's hysterical.
Okay.
It's absolutely a scream.
I think that said 2001 maybe was the series, something like that, 2002.
It came along right about the time of Family Guy.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it was late 90s into the 2000s maybe. So, but he even tells a story about how his series got canceled.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's hysterical. Yeah. He's like, he's sitting there telling TV execs, no, we're not going to do that. And he goes, well, we're not going to do that at all now.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Like, yep, the whole thing got canceled.
That will get you.
He literally, like, I think he said he like squashed like a $2 or $3 million deal for him to keep doing the series. You know, and
It
he was like,
happens
next
so
thing you know,
much.
got no money.
Yeah, it happens so much. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's things like that in wrestling too.
The Christopher Titus thing is like, I say that because like I kind of at one point I created on Pandora my own little comedy channel. And a lot of it was Christopher Titus.
Sure,
it was hilarious stories. So
Yeah.
he kind of goes back and forth between hilarious stories from his life and current events.
I love
you know,
a storyteller.
whatever. So yeah, he's a good listen to. So like, I tried to
check
follow
him
him on Facebook. He got a little political, and I had to unfollow him.
A lot of comics do that too. A lot of
Like,
comics do that too.
I don't like politics.
Yeah.
I hate politics. I've gotten to the point where I hate politics.
Yeah.
And it was like, I feel like politics is just tearing the world apart. You know, it's just like, I don't care who you voted for.
Yeah.
I want to know you as a human being.
Yeah.
Okay. If I know and love you as a human being, we're okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, there's very few people in this world that I hate.
Yeah.
And I've met some really shitty people.
Oh, they're out there. They're out there, let me tell you. And some of them do stand up. But they also, one thing that fascinates me about the politics in stand up is like almost universally, no matter what point you're trying to make, you alienate 50% of your audience.
Yes.
Like look at polls. It's pretty tight right now in this country. If everybody's black or white, there's obviously a huge, I think more than people are aware, majority that don't agree with either.
Yeah.
But everybody tends to pick a side. So if you're in a room of 50 people and you make a joke, even if it's pretty lighthearted, there's a good chance that only 25 of them are going to listen for the rest of the time you're up there.
And depending where you're at, 40.
Right. Or zero. I mean, and I don't think the risk is worth the reward for me. But I also, there are guys like, you know, I think Jon Stewart is exceptional at that.
Yeah.
You know, I think Trevor Noah is exceptional. So as long as there's guys like that, I don't need to do that. That's not who I am.
I love John because he jumps across the line. He doesn't
brilliant.
care who's in charge.
He's just a brilliant human being.
He doesn't care who's in charge. He jumps across that line. So that's why I love listening to John.
He's always been one that, like, no matter, it depends on the administration. He's either labeled a hero or a villain.
Yeah.
But then it'll switch at some point where it's like, now he's a hero, now he's a villain. He's always just been the exact same. Yeah. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those.
Huge 9/11 fund guy.
Yes.
That went to Congress.
Spoke and
everything. So
that's why
I love John. I love John.
He's fantastic.
So,
He really is. I'm also curious, and I'll get you out of here soon. So as someone who does wrestling and loves stand-up, you have people like Christopher Titus and things that stick out to you. As someone who does stand-up and loved wrestling as a kid, I'm thinking back to like probably, I'm going to say like 02 to 09 is probably like my peak consuming wrestling. So I mean, you could probably imagine, like at that point, I'm talking like Undertaker is probably the one that I remember the most in the forefront of my mind. But at that time, it's probably just nostalgia. To me, it feels like that's the best time in wrestling, you know, because that's when I watch it. So when you think back to Hulk Hogan and those times, do you look at it that way, or are you a different person who's like, actually now's pretty good too?
I think it's evolved as the times have changed.
Sure.
And there were points when WWF was the place to be.
Yeah.
And then there were points where WWE was not the place to be.
Yep.
And everything was just kind of like fizzled and pigeonholed into this one little product. You know?
Sure. Cookie cutter kind of all the
I'll
same.
say this too, competition. Having competition out there.
Yeah.
Really stirs things up.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
So when the AEWs and the TNAs and the NWAs and all of those start stirring things up again, and you got this huge conglomerate now that is TKO.
Right.
That owns WWE.
Right. And UFC too, right?
And UFC
recently
too,
purchased. Yeah.
So it's you got that huge conglomerate.
Yeah.
And now I see them kind of jumping back across that line and getting edgy again.
Right.
Because they've started using the language again.
They feel the heat a little bit.
They feel the heat a little bit, yeah. So I think they're starting to get a little bit more edgy.
Sure.
I think now is a really good time to be a wrestling fan. I heard it on a podcast recently with I think it was Kenny Omega and everything. I think well, I won't even. I don't know. I don't know who said it.
Okay.
But they were like, look at all these celebrities getting into WWE. What are we doing here? Blah, 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 blah. You know, this is like Logan Paul. You can say what you want about Logan Paul. That's one athletic dude.
Unbelievable.
He can do just about anything.
I agree.
Okay. And I'm like, what was he like? Less than a year in, and him and Ricochet did that spot where they hot shot it up to the top rope and springboarded into one another. At
I've
the Royal
seen
Rumble.
some clips of him where I'm like, this guy means it. You know, right?
You can't. He's got athleticism you can't teach.
Well,
he's got athleticism you can't teach.
Much like his brother, I think because they are who they are and they have the past that they do, it's very easy for people to go, Jake Paul can't box. And then you watch him box and you go, he can kind of box.
He can kind of box.
I'm not saying he's the greatest boxer of all time. And yes, he's fighting
into that Tyson fight like everybody else did.
I was going to say, he's
Tyson
fighting retirees.
Light.
Yeah,
Tyson took it light on that kid.
He's also so old.
It's just... And I believe every word of Tyson when he says he paid that kid not... that kid paid him not to beat the shit
I believe. And take the money. I say take the money.
Take the money, Tyson.
Yeah, you're 70 years old. Take it.
Take it and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I don't care, but that looked like a Tyson sparring match.
Yes,
to me.
it did.
It straight up looked like a Tyson sparring match to me.
Speaking of that too, because he's older.
But then he's go and like they were saying stuff about all the celebrities. We got Jelly Roll. We've got Logan Paul. We've got all these celebrities. What are we doing?
Right.
It's always been celebrities.
Always.
Okay. It's always been celebrities in WWF. You go all the way back to like WrestleManias and stuff like that. We had Rhonda Shear, Burt Reynolds, Regis Philbin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
What's the baseball guy? Bob Uecker.
Oh,
Bob
sure, Uecker. Yeah.
You know, WrestleMania 4. I
mean, the current sitting president was a pretty big feature on
there was
pro wrestling.
WrestleManias at Trump Plaza.
Right.
There was 2 WrestleManias at Trump Plaza.
He's been stone cold stunned. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes. Somebody put a picture up and it had all the McMahons and the president. And I think one of the McMahon children, grandchildren, was in it. It's like only one person in this photograph has not been stone cold stunned.
It's one of my favorite memes.
So
that's one of my favorite. I'll put it on the screen for them.
You can't look at it now and go, well, let's take the celebrities out of wrestling. No, the celebrities have always been in wrestling.
It's also part of the draw, you know, and trying to universalize.
Drew Carey. Royal Rumble entry, and they said I think on Bruce Pritchard's podcast they said Drew Carey literally showed up backstage without any entourage, and they were like, Drew Carey, holy crap, what you're here? Yeah, okay, well let's get you in your dressing room, and he goes, no, I want to dress with the wrestlers. I want to be in the same thing with the wrestlers and everything. He wanted no celebrity status whatsoever backstage. So he went out and nobody ever touched him. He eliminated himself. It was just a spot for a celebrity to be in the Royal Rumble. That was it.
And if he loves it, just like all those years ago, if Burt Reynolds has an appreciation for it, let him out there.
Chuck Norris,
rest in peace, God.
Chuck Norris,
what a loss.
Literally, literally a special enforcer, quote unquote,
right?
In the main event of Survivor Series, the year that The Undertaker came back to defeat Yokozuna. Yeah. So, I mean, it gave Jeff Jarrett a hell of a kick. Sure. Turned him on his head.
Well, Chuck will do that. Yeah. He's got the kicks for
So, I mean, that's just, the celebrities have always been in wrestling. We can't complain about the celebrities now. The celebrities have always been in wrestling. They've always been in wrestling.
It's kind of Andy an important Kaufman, part too. Oh yeah,
Andy Kaufman.
It's one of my favorite clips.
I honestly believe that was one of the first ones to cross that line and start wrestling. Yeah. Okay. It was Andy Kaufman. Okay.
Do you know the David Letterman situation where he got slapped? What's your take on that? You think that was legit?
Oh no.
I've heard both. I've heard that it's scripted. I've heard it was legit.
Video or the
Jim Carrey, yes,
Jim Carrey one. Okay, I believe that take on it.
Okay,
I believe that take on it because they tried to in that Man on the Moon movie they tried to get as close to real life Andy Kaufman as they could. Yeah. So they did a hell of a job with it too.
Great movie.
I cried on that one.
Jim Carrey's incredible.
Yeah. So, but 100%, I believe that take of the movie on that whole situation.
Yeah. Because that was a weird one.
And it at the time though, had anybody ever done anything like that at all? Yeah. And Andy refused to take paychecks.
Well, that's kind of his whole career. Nobody ever seen or done anything quite like Andy. My favorite, I'm sure in wrestling there's 1,000 stories that, passed down through the rank. One of my favorite Andy Kaufman kind of inside baseball comedy stories is allegedly, I wasn't there, but allegedly one night in New York, he went into a club. This is peak Andy Kaufman. It's after Taxi. He's blown up. It's peak. He isn't supposed to be on the show. He asked for permission to go up at the end. They say yes. He goes up and gets just, people are freak. Andy Kaufman, very famous comedian at the time. In New York, he goes on with a little bag and doesn't say anything.
Yep.
And he sets up a tent, a camping tent. So it's like 20, 30 minutes of him like putting poles together. He unzips it, crawls in, zips it up, and the entire audience, after a few hours, they just left because he never came out of the tent. He just went to sleep on stage in the tent. And the world was like, is this fun? What is this? What do we do with this information? And I think that a character like that in stand-up is so important. And I'm sure there's 1,000 of those in wrestling too, where it's like he really changed the game. 100%. And I'm sure it probably is happening now, and I don't even know about it.
And that's the thing. It was happening way back then.
Yeah. Right. It's always evolving.
And, like you said, the celebrities were always getting into wrestling. They weren't getting in the wrestling ring and doing stuff.
Right.
Now they're getting in the wrestling ring and doing stuff. And I think that's where people is like, oh, this is so insulting. Oh, this is this is that. And it's like, no, this is what they've always done.
Always.
They've always done this.
Yeah.
They're just getting more involved now.
Yeah.
So, and it's a time when they can get more involved.
We see it a lot with like TikTokers who start selling out comedy clubs and doing stand up. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? That's a TikToker guy. But I'll be honest. I mean, I've been in clubs where that happens. They sell a lot of tickets, those guys. And if I'm the club owner, I need to make money as much as I need to own the comedy club. So it's like from the perspective of, I'm sure the WWE, it's like the more celebrities we can throw in there, they're not going to complain. They're not going to be mad that Logan Paul is taking it serious and trying to,
Logan Paul, love him or hate him, he draws an audience.
He does.
He draws
a younger
people.
Audience, too.
He draws a younger audience.
Yeah.
Jelly Roll, love him or hate him, he draws a certain audience.
Yeah.
So,
he does.
And then, like, not to mention, like,
people on Ozempic. He draws a lot of those people. A lot of people.
But, then you got the regular fans that are watching the Randy Orton, the Cody Rhodes, the Drew McIntyre, the Roman Reigns, the CM Punk, So, we're in an era where the torch is going to be passed a lot. I don't know if you're noticing that too, because like John Cena's had his last match.
I've seen those videos
AJ
get
Styles.
my feed, and it makes me cry. When I see
AJ Styles having his last match.
Yeah.
Undertaker's retired.
Undertaker for sure. That's a big one for me.
They're talking about this may be the last year for Brock Lesnar.
Wow. Yeah.
They're talking about, just different ones are going away one by one.
That's also, that always causes friction in the fan base when something like that, and I'm not a big football guy or anything, but I do know that when Tom Brady, finally decides to hang it up, it's quite a shift in the culture. Right. Yeah. Whenever he's 90 and he's done playing. And he's switched teams 3 more times. But it's no, like I remember my dad talking about, his
the whole Bobby Bonilla day,
right,
Bobby Bonilla day.
Well, it's also
he's still getting paid $1 million a year.
It's always happened. My dad always talked about Jordan was his big guy. He's the Chicago Bulls. He's a kid in the early 80s, and Jordan is everything to him. And it's like, when Jordan retired and then came back and then played baseball and then did Space Jam and then came back, like that kind of shakes some stuff up for a while. And then now you have the Kobe's and you have the Steph Curry's and you have these other basketball. And again, I'm not a big basketball guy, but I just think that all through that process, there's a lot of basketball fans who are going, well, he's not Michael. It's not blah, blah, blah. Why are we letting all these celebrities on the court? And it's like, come on, man. Like, do you love this thing or not?
Yeah.
You got to love it. You got to love it.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much. I do want to say, please plug anything. This will be out 2 weeks from today. So anything you have coming up, any socials, any exciting stuff for the year?
NetPro Studios Pro Wrestling Training School LLC on Facebook.
Yes.
We do have Instagram. You can look us up on Instagram. We do have X. You can look us up on X pretty easily. Anything that says NetPro Studios should be us.
Yeah.
We haven't noticed any copycat accounts or anything like that
Sure.
yet. We're not that famous yet.
Right.
So
not yet. Yeah.
So, I'm Daniel Jones on Facebook if you want to look me up as well. I've got a profile pic of me in an NWA shirt and Doug Bashman a WWE shirt. So that's me on there. So, but yeah, just, I'm hyped for what the future brings us. I think we are going to get our own building. We're going to stop paying rent.
Awesome.
And we're actually going to have our very own brick and mortar building this year.
Incredible.
So if everything fits the right way and everything, we by fall or maybe winter,
sure,
we should be in a brand new building.
Incredible.
And that starts the chapter of NetPro 2.0 for us.
Right.
So
yeah, that makes me so happy to hear too. And I think any time I get to meet a person who, because I can kind of keep in conversation, but when you start throwing out names from the '60s, I'm like, bro, I don't know. Like with the wrestling, but I have some interest in anybody who does what they love and has the knowledge and the recall and the drive but maybe more than that, someone who creates a space for others to share in that and to turn around and to train young guys and to share, even the ones who pay the $300 and never come back, you know, like just the fact that you're extending that hand backwards means so much to me, because there were guys in my world of comedy who did that for me. And I try to be that guy doing it now. And I just think that that's an important person.
Yep.
I really do.
And just another take on the wrestling school stuff is like a lot of schools do like a 12-week program. We don't do that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe you learn anything or get better by doing that.
Yeah.
I start you as soon as you walk in the door. When you walk in the door and you decide to start, that's when you start.
Right.
So that's
because you're like, you made the decision to be here.
Yeah.
So let's start.
So and I'm there 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Unless we've got a show, a ring rental far away, or so I'm there 5 days a week.
That's awesome.
And I have been for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So.
And the fact that it's much like this show and much like Don't Tell, it's 100% you. I think certain people, like people who will go on other podcasts and run their mouth and things, would credit that more to ego or control or all these things. I don't think it's that. I think it's passion. No. And I think it's
quality control. Quality worried control. About my reputation.
Absolutely.
If you go out and you say you're a NetPro trained guy, by God, you're gonna know more than anybody in the room.
Yeah.
You're gonna know more, and you're gonna be a better wrestler than,
because that ultimately comes back to you if they're not.
Exactly.
And waters down your reputation. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's the same with us. I have.
I've gotten a lot of compliments lately through trainees. It was like,
good.
There's no way you've been working for 2 years. And then like one of my guys, it's Crazo. NetPro heavyweight champion who performed at the comedy.
He did. Yeah, we didn't even
show.
talk about. Those guys were incredible.
He got flown. Let me say it again. He got flown. Let me say it a third time. He got flown.
He did.
I've never gotten flown. He got flown to Florida and got on a lucha show in Florida.
Yeah.
And
were you like, hey, I trained him?
Yeah.
Like,
I trained that guy.
Can I get a first class seat on that flight?
Can I go with you?
I'm also his manager, his road manager.
So, yeah. So he got flown to Florida.
Wow.
Okay. And then he impressed them so much, he got put on their permanent roster.
That's incredible.
So now,
good for him, man.
He's on their next show in Atlanta because they travel around.
Wow.
So it's all just opportunities out there and everything. And just the wrestling business is exactly what you make of it, as well as the comedy business, I'm sure.
Very similar. Very similar.
That's just it.
And I do think a lot of those guys, like he's probably a wonderful example of like, there is some level of right place, right time. He is, not necessarily luck,
what
but
he's a guidance counselor at a local high school.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, see, so there you go. That's what I'm saying. So he's a guidance counselor. He comes to see you and he gets the foundation, the essentials. So, and then what he does with that is on him. But the foundation and the essentials is important. And it's very important, I know, to a lot of those guys and a lot of folks listening that you are that for them. So thank you for that, man. Thank you for coming on. Please follow NetPro, support them, and go see some shows. Go check them out.
Absolutely. We promote everything that we do.
Yeah.
So come out and find us at a show somewhere.
Yeah.
We're going to be somewhere, I guarantee you, on a weekend.
Absolutely.
And if you can't come to NetPro for a show on a weekend, find where the NetPro guys are at.
Yeah.
Because they're everywhere.
Follow them too.
I've got 30 of them and they're everywhere.
Some of them are in Florida on a plane.
That's right.
Having a good time.
Don't think you're too far away.
Yeah.
Because you probably aren't.
For sure. For sure. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to support NetPro and support the show. Share it around and all that fun stuff. Dan, thank you so much.
No problem, man. It's great being here.
Thanks. Come back also. Yeah, you're going to come back at some point. We'll do it again.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Bye.